You complain when it rains for a day. You order food. You put on something to watch. You wait it out in comfort. But ancient humans had none of that. No roof, no heating, no stored food in a pantry. When it rained for days, and it did, ancient humans had to deal with it in real time, with only what they had. And what they actually did is far more fascinating than most people imagine. Let's start with the most immediate challenge: shelter. Ancient humans were not waiting for rain to catch them off guard. They read the environment constantly, and they knew when rain was coming. Darkening skies, changes in wind direction, the way certain animals behave before a storm, the smell of rain on dry earth. These were all signals they read instinctively. The first priority when rain arrived was getting off open ground. Caves and rock overhangs were the most reliable rain shelters, and ancient humans knew where everyone was in their territory. A rock overhang does not just block rain from above, it keeps the ground underneath dry, which means a dry sleeping surface, a dry fire, and a dry space to wait out the weather. But ancient humans were not entirely dependent on natural features. They built their own shelters, and far more sophisticated ones than most people expect. Archaeologists have found evidence of simple huts built from wooden frames covered with animal hides, dating back hundreds of thousands of years. The hides were naturally water-resistant. Fat from the animals was worked into the skin to make it even more waterproof. In Siberia, archaeologists found huts built from mammoth bones covered with hides, structures that were dug partially into the earth for insulation, occupied for months at a time. Now let's talk about fire. Because keeping a fire alive during extended rain was one of the most critical skills an ancient human could have. Fire was not just warmth, it was dry clothing, cooked food, light, safety from predators, a community gathering point, everything. Ancient humans kept their fire materials: dried tinder, kindling, fire-starting tools, stored safely inside their shelter specifically to protect them from rain. Some tribes carried smoldering embers in clay pots or wrapped in thick leaves, moving fire from camp to camp so they never had to start from scratch. Now let's talk about food, because rain for days meant the usual hunting and gathering was much harder. Ancient humans prepared for this. They stored food specifically because they understood that weather would sometimes make fresh food impossible to find. Dried meat, smoked fish, dried berries, roasted nuts, all preserved specifically to last through periods when fresh food was unavailable. And rain actually brought its own food sources: earthworms driven to the surface, frogs and amphibians suddenly visible everywhere, fish in rivers running high and fast. Ancient humans were not just surviving the rain, they were actively using it as a hunting opportunity. Now here is the part most people never think about. What did they actually do with all those hours stuck inside? Because ancient humans had no screens, no books, no distractions of any kind, just each other and time. And archaeologists believe this enforced downtime was one of the most productive periods in ancient human development. Tool making. Rainy days forced ancient humans to stop moving and sit, which gave them extended time to work on tools that required patience and precision. The finest prehistoric tools, the most detailed, the most carefully shaped, are believed to have been made during exactly these extended rest periods. Storytelling. Rain forced the tribe together around a fire for hours, and this is when stories were told. Scientists now believe that storytelling around fire, particularly night fires during bad weather, was one of the primary ways ancient humans passed down knowledge, history, and social rules across generations. Cave art. Some of the most extraordinary cave paintings ever found were made deep inside caves, places only accessible during extended shelter periods. The act of painting required extended, uninterrupted time. Rain gave them exactly that: medicine and plant knowledge. Rain periods were when healers and shamans processed medicinal plants, sorting, drying, grinding, work that could only be done when the tribe was stationary. Clothing repair. Extended wet weather wore out clothing faster, and rain periods were when that work got done. Social bonding, grooming each other, playing simple games, tending to the sick, settling disputes. deciding the next move as a tribe. Rain forced ancient humans to stop moving. And stopping was not weakness, it was how communities deepened. Now let's talk about something truly extraordinary. Because some ancient humans did not just survive rain, they followed it deliberately. Research into ancient settlements in the Sahara Desert found evidence of early humans following monsoon rains across the landscape, tracking where water would fall and moving toward it. Around 10,500 years ago, during a period of heavy monsoon rains, the Sahara was not a desert, it was lush, full of lakes, rivers, and wildlife. Ancient humans followed those rains, settled where they fell, built communities around the water and wildlife that rain produced. Those rain-following communities developed some of the earliest pottery, animal husbandry, and farming techniques in human history. Rain did not just challenge ancient humans, it shaped the entire direction of human civilization. The next time you look out at a gray sky and feel frustrated, consider what ancient humans understood that most of us have completely forgotten. Rain was not a problem to escape. It was a resource to use, a signal to slow down, a reason to gather closer. Ancient humans did not have umbrellas or raincoats or dry homes to retreat to, but they had something that made all of that work: each other.